pile of bits and pieces here, if put together in the proper order, will assemble a ram pump that will pump water using nothing more than gravity, no external power supply whatsoever. Now, I watched his video, and he put up some equations there, and I started to be blinded by science. So I'm more of a just kind of put it together and see how it works type of guy. So what I've got is I've got a nice little pond and a decent, adequate water supply. And if I go about 100 feet downstream from it, from the dam, I've got about 15 feet ahead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this stuff together and install the pump and the line, and we'll see how it goes. See if we can't pump up water to external tank to irrigate our garden. I'm really excited about this project, and I'm really it's just incredible to me that this system will actually work 24 hours a day around the clock. It's just an exciting prospect. So the cost. All this stuff together. Now let's start with the pipe. I bought 5 21-foot sections of 1¼ inch galvanized steel pipe at $2.30 a foot, which came out to $230. The total invoice for everything you see right here, including that 100-foot length of pipe, was $375. So the bits and pieces you see here are roughly 150 bucks or so. So let's get started. Put it together, and in part 2, hopefully I'll have it installed and running. All right, just check my notes. And the first check valve, arrow down. There's an arrow on these showing the direction of flow. So arrow down, and then next is the second swinging check valve, exactly the same as this one here, arrow pointing downstream. All right, so let's take these and go tighten them up on the vise. These check valves are, of all the fittings, they're the most expensive part. They weren't all that easy to find, but I think they were about $23 each. So I didn't think that was too bad. I'd love to find a higher quality one, but seems like all these pipe fittings and everything are all made in China or Mexico anymore. But you know, they're not. It's going to last a long time. So keep a couple of them on hand, and shouldn't be any problem. Easy to replace. There's just hardly any moving parts to this thing. Okay, back to the bench. All right, out of the check valve, we're going to go with another threaded nipple. And then a T. And then we've got another threaded nipple here. And an adapter from 1¼ inch up to 2 inch. I mean, there's a variety. There's many different ways you can do this. I was looking at my options for fittings, and this was the cleanest. And I wanted, this expansion joint tube here that we're going to be building out of the PVC. I wanted that to be, that's plastic. So the bigger the threads, the better, because that's the weakest link. And this is pretty tall. It's going to stick up above the pump, and there's going to be a lot of movement back and forth. So I wanted to keep all of this steel, and as I was coming up with the threads, you can see here that now I'm dealing, move this up here. Now I'm dealing with, at the plastic portion of it, a good heavy female 2-inch thread. So that was my thinking when I sourced these parts and put them together. So, and then we'll have from here, we have one more threaded nipple. And then let's go tighten this stuff up. So this it's going to go to our pressure vessel. It's going to want to point straight up. I was lucky to find this reducer from 1 1/4 up to 2 inch. That's kind of a cool piece there. I don't know if I've ever seen one of those before. That's good. And this one, since it's going to be threading into plastic, I'll want to tighten the nipple up by itself. Okay, so that's essentially the pump there. Now I'm going to, I've got a fitting here that's 1 1/4 to 3/4 with a 90 on it, and we'll put that on. And then from this point here, we're going to convert to 3/4 inch, which is going to be the size of our supply line. What I understand is that your supply to the garden coming out of the pump is about half the size of the pipe coming in, as a rule of thumb. Okay, and then we're going to put a standard 3/4 inch galvanized T on here. And then we have a bushing for our pressure gauge, and one more actually, let's tighten this assembly here separately from the 90. Okay, so we've got the T with the 2 threaded nipples on both sides, and then we'll have, let's see, what do we have here? We're going to have our union. No, we're going to have our gate valve, excuse me, gate valve, and then the union last. Just, you know, you ever have there's some jobs in life, even though they're not difficult or just simple little things that you hate to do. One of them that I hate is putting Teflon tape on. I've never liked it. Mrs. Wranglerstar hates phone trees. Okay, we'll put the gauge on last because it's kind of fragile. So here's the let's go, yeah, here's the 3/4 assembly, so let's go tighten that up. Now we could install the pressure gauge. I'm not going to tighten this up. I'm just kind of doing this for demonstration here because there's a good chance that I'll break this gauge when I'm installing the pump, so that will be the last thing I install, but you can get an idea of kind of what it'll look like. I went with a waterproof liquid-filled gauge. Hopefully it'll be a little more resilient to the elements and the weather and such. And last here on the outlet is going to be the 3/4 inch threaded to the bar. It's a barbed fitting plastic, and that will go to the plastic. I'll just be using black plastic pipe on this because I already have so much to go up to the tank, so this is where we'll come out. So last of all will be the pressure tank, and this is just a piece of 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC. You've got a cap here. It's 3 feet long. I don't know the optimal length. I'm just kind of, that's what I started with. I could always cut it down. And then we've got the 2 to 1 1/4 threaded female adapter. So this will go on here, a coupler, And then, of course, this will form our pressure tank. And I'll wait to glue that stuff up until I get it installed. So as I hope you can see right there, the tank is nearly full. It looks like we're about 7-8 inches from the top, but being full. So now we'll go put the pressure gauge on to see what type of pressure we're getting at the outlet of the garden.